This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Agronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 149. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hi.
Grace.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
And Valen.
Hi. Does this mean that in 7 episodes we'll have been doing this for 3 years?
Pretty much, yeah. Isn't that a little crazy?
Crazy.
A little less than that, I think.
Yeah.
Missed a few.
Yeah, we have missed a few. Not very many.
Like, I think we've missed probably 4 or 5 episodes in total.
If that.
In 3. Yeah, like, I mean, it's kind of a rarity. Like, a lot of times when we know we're going to miss, we'll record like a double episode to fill the gap.
Right.
But, yeah, no, it's...
Those still get numbers, so...
That's the weird thing. Like, okay, so a long time ago, Ash thought I was mad for just continuing the numbering scheme.
I still think you're mad for just continuing the numbering scheme.
But to some extent, it's kind of cool, because, like, we know, we've done this many episodes. So, like, next week is going to be the Tyranny show, and it'll be episode 150, and I don't know, like, that seems like a much more significant number than any of these other numbers.
Seems like should be a special anniversary episode.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. If I was really smart all this time, I would have been, like, saving little cliplets of shows, and no, I haven't. I mean, I literally have.
Go back through and listen to all, 148 of the others and collect these.
Could. I have the original. I have the original audio for every show we've ever recorded, like saved off in uncompressed format, sitting on a network attached storage drive. I don't know what I'll ever do with it, but like that is possible. Like I could go back and re-edit any of our shows, even Chipmunk Bell.
But why would you do that?
I really should know what episode that is, because I know that Neff recently got to it, and the fact that Neff is listing back through our shows seems a little, I don't know, whatever.
I looked it up recently to let a coworker who started listening to our show know that of all the back episodes that he needed to go back and listen to, that was the most important.
Oh my god. That was like seriously the most stressed I have been when it comes to recording a podcast ever. Because, like, we got done, and I start to listen through it, and, like, it was like the floor dropped out when I realized all of my audio was jacked up. And then I spent, like, several hours the next day trying to fix it, and I got it as cleaned up as it could.
And finally we said, what the hell, and you posted it, and everybody decided it was the most amazing show ever.
I know. At least it was only me.
That isn't our most listened to show, is it?
No, it's not. Actually, I think the most listened to show we've ever recorded was the 10 Years of Warcraft show, where we did that questionnaire.
Oh, yeah.
That was early.
That was an early show. That predates Grace. And I think
Chipmunk Bell was episode 100. It was the Undertale episode.
Oh my god, that's amazing! Episode 100. Maybe I should just be a chipmunk for 150?
No, let's not.
There are a whole bunch of good games out right now that we have been talking about for several weeks.
Yeah. This is going to be, like, I feel like this is going to be a really amazing year for games as a whole, because it seems like one thing after another keeps coming out, and they're all pretty good.
Really great start.
Like, they're all pretty good. Like, I mean, obviously Horizon is really good, and it would be everyone's Game of the Year pick, if not for the fact that it released like a week ahead of Legend of Zelda. And then that's a lot of people's Game of the Year pick already.
Neo also is kind of important.
Neo,
and then really like it.
Yeah,
well, and everyone seems to universally love Nier Automata.
I haven't played it.
I finally got around to installing it, but
well, there we go.
It's going to be a while before I get to that one, I think.
Yeah, like I finally admitted that I will never play Nier or any of the games leading up to it.
That's okay. They're unrelated, mostly unrelated.
Yeah. So like I watched a video the other night where it goes through and explains like the connective fiber between what Drakengard and Nier and the stage play for Nier.
What?
That's not. Yeah.
It's a
Okay,
thing.
Fine, whatever.
It's a thing. Like, apparently there's a stage play that sets up the world and fills the gap between Nier and Nier Automata. But, like, so it was, I don't know, it was like a 30-minute video, and it explained all of that stuff, so I kind of know what the hell's going on in the world, but no, it's still incomprehensible.
I don't think any of that was actually terribly important to the plot of
No.
Yeah.
But I also like that there's something for everybody this year.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's stuff that, like, aren't even on our radar because it's not our kind of game, but
I was watching somebody play Splatoon 2. They had like that weekend thing.
yeah.
Yeah, they had their sort of big weekend tests this weekend.
That game looks really good.
Did you get a chance to play the previous one?
No.
It's
It
good.
looks a lot like the previous one, which is pretty good.
Splatoon is a brilliant game because it's like this really tight shooter that has nothing to do with killing players.
I mean,
Like-
you can, but that's not how you score.
Right, exactly. Like, so it's this weird family-friendly shooter that this guy doesn't make you realize that you're playing a totally PG family-friendly game. Like, it's super tight, and the controls are really interesting, and you can do all kinds of things with the jumping in and out of the ink, and
Possibly running around with a giant paint roller in case, maybe your shooter isn't quite up to snuff.
the giant paint roller is amazing, though. Like, it's totally the heavy in that game.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's awesome. Like, the problem is I just don't have anybody to play with it. Like, the problem is it doesn't do couch co-op. Like, your option for couch co-op with Splatoon is one person on the gamepad, one person on the television, which is not the best option.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors does that too. I'm not the biggest fan of that decision. Like,
So
I don't understand why they couldn't have just done split screen.
So the funniest thing that's happened at work with our game room is the fact that people have mostly reverted to playing Wii Bowling. That's okay. Like, it's bringing in people that would probably never go over there. I just wish it was easier to get in and out of the Wii emulator inside of the Wii U. And the fact that, like, you have to set up Mii's in both. Yeah. I think there may be a way to transfer it somehow, but it, like, involves downloading something, and we don't have that Wii U on the network yet. Like, I totally plan whenever the hell I can get a hold of a Switch to bring my copy of Breath of the Wild up there and see if people want to play that.
You should get Snipper Clips.
Snipper Clips looks amazing.
Yeah, okay, so I've played more Snipper Clips. I don't know if did I talk about Snipper Clips last week?
No, you
Nope.
didn't.
No? Okay.
All you talked about was Breath of the Wild as far as Switch stuff.
Okay, so the day after we recorded, Kodra and I went to see a movie. And while we were waiting, and I brought the Switch, mostly just like, hey, check this thing out. But I downloaded Snipper Clips because a ton of people have said it's amazing. And so I figured, maybe we could play it while we waited for the movie. And we did, and it was amazing. Snipper Clips is a two-person co-op puzzle platformer.
This makes me think of like Ib and Ob.
It's kind of like, it's kind
Co-op
of like
Portal 2.
Yeah, except it all takes, every level is one screen.
Okay.
And on that screen is something you have to do. You either have to, like, fill in a shape or, get an object from one point to another point, or there's a ton of these puzzles. We had one that was like get a basketball into a hoop, make a ramp for a rolling ball thing. But the mechanic, your controls are, you can walk back and forth, you can jump, you can duck down, and you can rise up on your tiptoes. You can rotate. You're like this kind of arch shape, like a filled-in arch shape. I don't know what the name for that is. But like if you imagine a rectangle with one half of it is rounded.
Yeah, it's basically like a rectangle and a half of a circle tacked onto the end of it.
Yeah.
So a U shape.
Yeah, a U shape,
Yeah.
but the U filled in.
Sure.
And you can rotate this shape. Like you got a face, but it's not really associated with your actual body shape. You rotate this shape, and your last button is cut. And if you intersect when you hit cut, any parts of the other player who are intersecting your shape, however it happens to be arranged, get cut off. And you can reset yourself, but if I need to press a button and the button is in too thin to get to the button, there's this little narrow hole, I have to get my partner to like cut off part of my body shape so I can tap the button, and it's incredibly weird but super fun. Like we played it for a solid 30 minutes before the movie started, and it worked great. We each took one of the little one of the Joy-Cons and did the like rotate it sideways. I don't know that I would want to do that for a long time, but for a quick like we're gonna play this while we wait, it was excellent.
Yeah, one of my blogger friends wrote about that as well, where like same game, but he and a friend of his took their kids to the park, and while they were like riding bicycles and stuff, the two dads sat on a table and popped the thing up and played snipper clips for, you know, a period of time, and that's the moment which like the console design was really sold on him. That, oh yeah, no, this totally works as a impromptu multiplayer machine.
Yeah, like I suddenly want to cart this thing around basically wherever I go, just so I can be like, all right, I've got 10 minutes to kill. I'm gonna.
What was the meme that they were calling the lady in the commercial? like the internet had named her something.
Oh, I have no idea.
I do not actually know.
Okay, there were a bunch of memes about her always bringing her Switch. But yeah, like, no, you totally... it seems like that's the kind of system it is. Like, this the sort of thing that you bring in the off chance that someone might want to play.
Yeah. I mean, I love that I can have this thing around. I can play it in, like, a ton of different configurations. I was super skeptical about the Switch and picked one up mostly because I happened to have a convenient opportunity to. But it's really neat. I'm looking forward to more games. I'm probably going to pick up Shovel Knight on it because it seems like the perfect game to play on that.
I feel like Nintendo really missed out on a golden opportunity. They should have packed 1-2 Switch in with the console, since that's the game that shows off all the nifty things that it can do.
I'm actually hearing 1-2 Switch is not actually all that great.
But see, like, I've heard it's basically the Wii Bowling. Well, okay, Snipper Clips, sure. Like, that's the game that everybody talks about being a standout of the what? I don't even know what to call it. It's not couch co-op, but, you know, like where you split off the Joy-Cons and do little impromptu co-op sessions. But I feel like 1-2 Switch could totally be the Wii Bowling of that console.
I don't think it needs it.
I don't know if it fits quite as naturally. I mean, in a month there's going to be Mario Kart on that console.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to play a lot more Mario Kart than I did on the last several, like, Nintendo consoles.
I mean, I play the hell out of Mario Kart, 8? But it's only because we have it hooked up at work, and we'll go in there and, you know, we'll play an entire circuit and then on break and then go off and do other things. My only frustration is they need to churn out some more, you know, stock on the units, because the only way to reliably get one right now that I know of is to order the horrible bundle from GameStop.
What's that? Nintendo didn't produce
I know.
A piece of hardware?
I know, it's
inconceivable.
The thing is,
the funny thing about that is that they did not plan for this ridiculous takeoff success after the Wii U.
I think they produced more units than they've ever produced for a launch, and they've 100% sold out. Like, I actually was in a GameStop, and God, I hate GameStop, but there's this one that I know that has a pretty cool person that runs it, and she said that in their systems, every state bordering Oklahoma is sold out. That there's like no stock whatsoever that they could get a hold of. And I know, like, in my transit to Dallas a couple weeks ago, I guess it was last weekend, I stopped at a lot of random places along the route and in little tiny towns and didn't find any. Like, I was hoping to maybe find one. And that's a unique problem, though, because, like, they're hitting the commercials pretty hard on cable television. Like, I've seen lots of commercials for the Switch, but there's none to be had. So I'm not sure how effective those commercials are going to be if they're advertising a product that you...
getting people to want it.
Yeah, but, like, how long is the effect of those commercials going to last? Because, like, the big console mover was Breath of the Wild, and I know people that have instead picked up a Wii U because that's available and they can play it on that right now. And that's a whole other weird effect, is, like, online sales of Wii U's, the price of the Wii U is way more inflated than it should be. in a lot of places, and that has to be some kind of weird add-on effect.
I don't think it can really be understated that, again, Mario Kart comes out in about a month.
Yeah.
And I hope they have like a big deluge of units for the release of Mario Kart. I mean, it's just a special version of Mario Kart 8, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but the Wii U wasn't that popular, and Mario Kart 8 almost did what? It did similar numbers to 7?
Mario Kart 8
do ridiculous numbers on the 3DS.
Mario Kart 8 is a really good game.
It really is.
Like, the track design is amazing.
I'm really excited about Red Out. Although I hear that Fast RMX is also pretty good.
That's the current one
available
that is
on PC now. If you really want to see how it plays, Fast RMX is not.
I mean, like, there's a kind of racing game that I really like. Maybe it's clear.
I'm just happy that it seems to start to be getting some traction in the indie community. Because, like, this feels like the perfect system for that sort of thing. I mean, ultimately, like, what the Switch is doing is why I've ever looked at any of the Android devices that have gamepad and Android tablet built in, is I always kind of wanted a reasonable and comfortable mobile device to play, like, platformers and things like that on.
Yeah.
And I think the Switch may be that, especially if they ever get the Virtual Console rolled out. Which, I mean, they're going to, but like, even if I just had access to the Virtual Console games that I have through the Wii U, I would be perfectly happy.
They're going to make you buy those again, right?
Oh, I know. I haven't bought that many of them. I'm just saying, like, I will absolutely rebuy Super Metroid, and if it has Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I will buy it on yet another platform.
It won't.
Because fuck Konami.
That was on PlayStation and Saturn.
I don't care. It's on all sorts of weird like, I don't care.
And this
it's
is
on Xbox.
Console exclusives.
It's on Xbox.
I mean, okay, that's fair. It is on Xbox.
Like, there was a period of time where Konami was willing to let anybody put that on anything.
It's true.
And I have it on all of the platforms that it's available for. I even have the Saturn copy that's an import.
Ultimate Chicken Horse is coming to the Switch.
And that sounds amazing.
That sounds hilarious.
That could work really well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you'll only be able to do, like, what, 2-player on the...
4.
Well, like, you can get 2 extra Joy-Cons bound to the little tablet?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Stardew Valley on the Switch, which I'm probably not going to pour... I'm not even looking at how many hours I've poured into it, but I'm probably not going to pour that many hours into it again. But...
Not Castlevania is going to be on the Switch?
What do you mean by that?
Bloodstained,
Yes.
whatever, aka not Castlevania.
Hollow Knight is also going to be on the Switch. Speaking of which, if you actually like Metroidvania games, you should give Hollow Knight a try.
It looks amazing. Like, I watched some videos of it because I didn't even know it was a thing. And, like, the concept of that game it's like so interesting. It's like, it's all bugs and stuff, but it's like these weird kingdoms and, knights and things. Hollow Knight.
Okay, I think I have seen that.
Available for
I know
current
nothing about
consoles
it.
and Steam and coming to the Switch.
And it's pretty.
Metroidvania game, it's got a lot of hand-drawn stuff. It's very pretty.
Wow. Somebody made a game because they missed Sonic Spinball.
What? And why?
Why? I don't know.
Okay.
This is a pinball Metroid.
What?
Yoku's Island Express. A pinball Metroidvania. I played Sonic Spinball and enjoyed it.
It was okay.
I mean, I enjoyed it when I played it, but I wouldn't, like, I don't have super fond memories to want to go back to it. That's the weird thing about the indie scene, is it is full of these games that were built by someone who super loved X specific game and wanted to, like, these are all the things that I wished I could have had in this game or that game. And they're these weird love stories to whatever that title is. I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to, what is it, Sonic Mania?
Sonic Mania is Sega themselves going, hey, that Mega Man 9 thing worked really well.
Yeah.
We do that for Sonic?
I am so far gone from getting excited about a new Sonic game.
Oh, okay, so to be fair, this isn't a new Sonic game. It is, but it isn't. So, like, they took classic Sonic maps and, like, thought, oh, what if this has a bunch of extra routes through it? So, like, people have expanded the content to do different stuff.
Side-eyeing it real hard.
I like Sonic.
I like Sonic
I like
too.
those Sonic games.
Yeah.
So I will So I'm excited for Sonic Mania. The other one that's coming out, I am significantly less excited for, even though it is modeled after the most recent Sonic 3D Sonic game that was good.
Yeah, like I am only interested in Sonic because it basically does something that I kind of wished I could have done. Like, I would have loved to have been able to play through like the levels of the first game with the updated abilities of like Sonic 3, to where you got the bubble shield or the flame shield, or to do interesting things with it.
Wasn't that what Sonic and Knuckles did?
Sort of.
Yeah,
like it did not work on 1, and I think you had limited options in what you could do with 2. Like I have
the version
Sonic
of Sonic 2 that you get by attaching Sonic and Knuckles is mostly actually on the Sonic and Knuckles cartridge.
Yeah,
because they had to redo basically all of those levels. So it's not the same levels exactly as the ones in Sonic 2.
And I used to play a lot of those levels as Knuckles whenever I did that. But like Sonic 3, so that allowed you to have Knuckles in these games, but the Sonic from Sonic 3 did a lot of really cool things that, didn't exist in 1 and 2.
That's fair.
I mean, it's kind of the whole proposition of Mario Maker. Like, what if you could remake Mario 1 levels, but with, new Mario tile set or whatever your tile set of choice.
Project Octopath. That's the game I was thinking of. I mean,
What?
The JRPG from Square Enix with the absolutely gorgeous art style.
There's a lot of weird stuff coming out.
Yes, it's true. But like, it looks like an entire game set in the cutscenes from the new Final Fantasy Tactics. Or new Final Fantasy Tactics is a stretch
Or
there.
the Lions.
Yeah, from War of the Lions. And I'm real excited about that because the cutscenes from War of the Lions were absolutely gorgeous.
Speaking of games that are going to get me to buy another copy, I have a feeling I will probably pick up Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 Remix on the PS4.
Did you
even
get
though
those for PS3?
Yeah, like, even though I have them on the PS3, but I don't want to play them on the PS3. Like, I don't want to actually use my PS3 console. PC remote play for PS4 works really well for role-playing games. Or non-twitchy games, I guess.
I guess how twitchy Kingdom Hearts is depends on whether
it's
or
not
not
shooter
you're fighting
twitchy.
the optional bosses.
Yeah, true.
It's a different kind of twitchy, I guess. Like, it's not headshot twitchy. Or like headshot fine motor controls, I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to be super precise, and there's not like lots and lots of stuff that you have to react to in a split second. So yeah.
And I guess Ukulele's about to get released, minus the JonTron audio.
Yeah.
Which is a brilliant choice. And I didn't mean that in an absolutely unsarcastic way. That was the right choice.
I feel like I missed something.
JonTron said some
bad things.
Let me be a little more clear than that. He revealed himself as being incredibly, incredibly racist.
Oh.
And now he is not being included in things.
Yeah, he was originally going to voice a character in Ukulele.
Well, he already did.
Now he's not.
Now they need to redo that.
Now they're re-recording that character. So that should give you an indication of the level of statements that were made. Because I'm sure, especially for a pseudo-indie project, re-recording and revoicing a character is not the cheapest thing in the world.
Yeah, but,
it was the right call.
Yep, you do what you have to.
Another game that, like, I'm really looking forward to, but is really weird, is Little Nightmares. It's this creepy horror game, puzzle platformer sort of thing. Like, it's weird, but...
It's got a snazzy... Oh, wow, that's a creepy...
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, it definitely looks creepy.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, like, a horror game version of Strange World. Just in the kinds of puzzles you're asked to solve, and...
Wow. This is an incredibly creepy looking game.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of endearing.
It's that kind of, like, Tim Burton animated creepy.
Exactly.
Like it kind of reminds me of like Coraline or Nightmare Before Christmas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It kind of makes me think of like if Tim Burton did Among the Sleep.
Probably.
Which is a game that's still sitting in my Steam library and I haven't played. The premise seemed interesting, but I don't like horror games, so oh well.
I'm like not super into jump scares, but I'm also not really super susceptible to jump scares, so As usually my reaction to jump scares is, why did you turn the volume up all of a sudden really loud?
Well, this looks like it's going much more for the creepy weirdness
Yeah.
style of horror than which that I'm fine with.
Yeah, I mean, like Beetlejuicean
Yeah.
kind of thing going on. I think the big new thing that I've been playing this week is Mass Effect Andromeda, which I feel like it is super clean combat-wise.
Oh yeah, the combat upgrades that they have done are fantastic.
And I guess that makes sense, because I had heard that this is basically the team that did multiplayer in Mass Effect 3, and not so much the other team that did a lot of the other content. But, like, exploring with the jump jetpack is amazing. I mean, other than the whole, environmental controls thing, where you can only get so far before needing to find shelter. And that part kind of reminds me of the way No Man's Sky felt at times, when you were constantly needing to renew your environmental resources or whatever.
Mass Effect 1 had that, and I feel like it went mostly unnoticed.
I remember that in Mass Effect 1, but I also don't really remember it being a problem.
Basically never was.
Like, I don't remember that really dictating my actions, whereas the environmental suit mechanic in Mass Effect Andromeda already has massively dictated my reactions. Like, I made a bad decision on a planet, and I barely made it back to my Nomad, which is the little ATV vehicle, without like, my life support was super low when I finally made it back. Like, I thought I was not going to make it back before dying. And honestly, I don't know what happens when my life support runs out. I assume I just kind of die, but that's not something I've actually taxed fully, but it definitely feels like something I don't want to happen.
Probably not a thing you want to happen.
I mean,
'Cause
by
most
definition, life support is usually
Yeah,
the thing you don't want to run out of.
right. Like, all of these worlds have something bad going on that, is damaging to you.
Out of curiosity, did you try to leave the area of the first settlement before you started turning things down a bit?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, totally. I was out there using my Nomad as, an ability to, like, basically I was using...
You try to leave the settlement before you get the Nomad? Like, Sam tells you that this is a bad idea. You can see exactly how bad of an idea it is.
Okay, no, I did not do it until I got the Nomad. But then I'm often using my Nomad as a protective bubble to get me to the next thing. Like I like the Nomad a lot, but also, I mean, when you give me a fast travel, a lot of times I don't use it. So, like, I mean, in Skyrim, for example, I rarely ever use horses because I just end up walking everywhere.
Horses aren't particularly fast or convenient.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
And the same's true with
the same's true with
Zelda Breath of the Wild. I have horses, but I don't ever use them.
That makes me think of like how I've been playing Andromeda and Breath of the Wild and Horizon, because I'm playing a bunch of Horizon this week as well. Final Fantasy 15 really changed the way that I play open world games. I used to dip around with fast travel nonstop. Like, need to go back to the store, fast travel. Need to go back to where I was, fast travel. Forgot something, fast travel back. Just bip, 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 wherever I happen to be going. I am on a mission. And, like, I didn't do that, and I haven't been doing that since. And, like, with Horizon, one of the things that I've been doing lately is, because I haven't been fast traveling, it's like, oh, I'm enjoying just wandering around this game a whole bunch more.
So you're playing like I usually play?
I mean,
where there's a shiny thing off in the distance and let's go see what it is?
I don't really do that. Like, I'm a little bit too goal-oriented to do that in games. Like, even when I'm playing MMOs, I'm like, okay, what's the quest that I'm doing? Where do I need to go for that?
But I felt like Horizon had a lot of little goals. Like, the map is covered with things that, like, oh, I need to go find that tall neck, or like go and do that cauldron. Like, there's a bunch of little things sprinkled everywhere, even if you don't have a quest per se.
Yeah, and I like that I don't have a quest because they're things that I can sort of pursue on my way to doing whatever it is I'm on my way to do, and it stops me from fast traveling, but I don't feel overwhelmed by them. I don't have to sit and look at my map and figure out where all of the locations are and plan out a route, and which is what I normally do when I have like a bunch of quests and a bunch of stuff to do. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna go off in this direction. I'll collect some stuff and
User
like
joined your channel.
fight some things and find my way from point A to point B in a fairly direct path, but kind of enjoy that the travel time versus just getting there as fast as possible. I am not just in general, I am not a enjoying travel time kind of person. And FF15 did a really good job of making me enjoy travel time, which in turn has changed, like I was saying, changed the way I'm playing Zelda, changed the way I'm playing Horizon, changes the way I'm playing Mass Effect, these sort of more open worldy games.
The weird thing is, though, like with Zelda, I actually fast travel in that game more than I do in any other game, because I'll go on these I don't know, like I am not systematically attacking that game. Like I have no overarching plan, and I will find out that I've worked on like 5 different corners of the map at different times. So like there's stuff that I need to do in all of them, but they're all super spread apart. So I'll end up, like teleporting over to this one and go find another shrine or go work on something that I remembered that I didn't touch. And then I'll decide I want to go to another area of the map, and so I'll go to another one of those like larger districts of the map. And because of that, I feel like I'm popping back and forth, and I'm also spending a lot of time popping back and forth because like I'm doing the amiibo thing, and that requires you to have a flat spot of land, and the best flat spot of land that I've found is there by that first stable. So I keep going back there to open boxes and shit. Huh. And then I go off and do other stuff.
So I also have been drawn to every corner of the map, but I think that's mostly because the game does a really good job at getting me to be like, ooh, that looks interesting. Like, the game is very, very bad at using, like, UI systems to message where to go for things.
Yeah.
But it's very, very good at letting me look at the vistas that I get to and be like, oh, that's something I should go check out. Like today, I was just like, ooh, that's a really tall point. I wonder if I can climb to the top of it. Yes, I can climb to the top of that. Oh, wow, that looks like this really cool labyrinth over there. From the distance I was looking at it, it just looked like a really cool design in the ground, and it turned out to be this labyrinth that leads to a shrine. And I was like, this is sweet.
Yeah, I do a lot of that too, because like I'll get somewhere and like at the top of a mountain, there's something that looks out of place, and I fiddle with it, and it's a Korok, or it's just something else.
I've been having the problem where climbing gets tedious when you're trying to go up a really long way. And I'm often like, well, I just spent, a couple of minutes trying, just leaning on the button, like leaning on the stick, climbing up, watching my stamina tick down and wondering if I'm going to make it to the top. And I didn't. And now I fall and take a bunch of damage.
So like all the times that I've had that, I've wandered around and found a bunch of shorter climbs that got me to the same place.
I'm running into a bunch of places where I'm not finding it.
Okay.
And it's really frustrating. I did almost quit Zelda this week because I was just so tired of my weapons breaking. I fought some stupid thing at the top of a mountain in Zora Land, some centaur guy. It literally broke every weapon I was carrying, and including bows, burned through most of my arrows, and I had to kill him with bombs. And he could one-shot me.
Yeah, the one that
the big giant lion centaur that shoots fire?
Yeah. I don't know he just walked up to me and hit me with his sword, and I would die.
He shoots lightning bolts, breathes fire, and has a very big sword that he will cleave at you with.
Oh, I don't know that I ever saw the fire or the lightning. Oh no, he breathed fire one time. I remember that. That part wasn't even a problem. But no, it was like I broke every weapon I had on this guy.
I had that happen with like one of those giant Stalflos or whatever, the big skeleton Cyclops guys.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh, this is so dumb. So dumb. And I basically was like, I'm gonna stop playing this game. I'm legitimately no longer having any fun with it. Let me give it one chance to redeem itself, because I know that I'm setting up to do some kind of dungeon. If this is cool, I'll keep playing. If not, I'm done. And it was cool enough that I want to keep playing. I still hate the weapon breaking system. I still hate how meaningless progression feels.
It's really funny because I don't know. I feel like I fell into a groove where I actually feel like my stable of weapons has enhanced itself enough over time that I am noticeably stronger than I started the game now.
I'm feeling that too. Like, and especially now that I've upgraded armor with the Great Fairy and, doing that stuff.
I'm more resilient because I have gotten more hearts. Like, I'm up to 6 hearts, and I'm going to grudgingly spend some stuff on increasing my stamina wheel.
I've largely been alternating back and forth between stamina and hearts. So, like, I'll get a stamina, I'll get a hearts. I'll get a stamina, I'll get a hearts.
I really don't like spending those on stamina wheel upgrades. It doesn't feel good to me. But I have to if I want to climb things, so... but no, I get into a fight and all my weapons break, and now I've got to go find new weapons. And, like, I went back to a stable and grabbed the traveler's weapons that are always lying around stables. I'm like, alright, well, I've got some ultra basic weapons, time to work my way up through goblins. Through the same weapons that I've been using for a while.
So, like, I've found a couple areas on the map where there's just weapons laying around that are not the traveler's weapons. And I've got, like, those marked as spots. So if I ever get into absolute dire straits, I can teleport to a shrine near there and pick some of those up. But it seems like I'm not running out of weapons the way I used to.
I mean, I would love for that to start happening.
Mostly once I started fighting the, like, lizard people.
Yeah.
Because their boomerang things are amazing. I love those.
I lose those things constantly. They break really, really fast in melee. And if you throw them and, like, miss the timing on catching them, which I mostly don't, but every so often I do, they're gone. I'm never getting them back.
Yeah. I mostly use it for melee. That and the Assassin's Guild people that are constantly attacking.
Oh, yeah. That scythe is nice.
Yep. I have used a lot of those.
Oh, yeah, I've used a couple of those, but those... I mean, and it's a nice weapon, but it also costs me most of my other weapons just to get it.
Well, and there's another thing you can do if you can find any of the places that have, like, the smaller guardians.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
And you can literally, there's almost always boxes nearby, and you can lift those up in the air with magnesis and drop them on the baby guardians and get guardian weapons.
So I actually started fighting some proper guardians. I fought a proper guardian and discovered that I was in the area that contains Hyrule Castle, and was like, that was a really fun fight. Like, I was using guardian weapons to cut its legs and try and get it to a stationary position, and then switching to one of my big two-handers and spinning to win.
Yeah, I haven't even tried to tangle with one because I don't know, like, running away from the laser beam is the thing. I guess you have to take them out with an arrow.
Those things are one of the first things I fought when I was wandering around fighting things I shouldn't.
No, but
it took a lot of bombs to kill.
I was trying to kill it with bombs, and then I got bored, and I have some Knights Claymores. I've actually found a number of Knights Claymores in the game.
So I found a place that, like, has claymores, but every so often one of them is a Knight's Claymore, and I can keep returning to that little area, and they're just, like, jammed in the ground. I think as you explore and encounter tougher enemies, like, the weapons that you get as a whole are just better.
Yeah.
That seems to be the case, but my rate of getting those good weapons has not expanded past the speed at which I'm burning through them. And so, because I'll hit a thing where it's like, if I'm only fighting boblins, I'll have various weapons I'll have like whatever weapons I need, but like I'll fight something bigger and it will burn through a bunch of weapons and at most give me one back, and then I'm just short on weapons. Unless I decide to go farm boblins, and at the point at which I'm farming boblins, I'm gonna go work on my animal weapon.
Yeah.
You're never actually... Okay, got it.
Yep.
Yep.
You have accurately sussed out my statement. But I don't have to fight anything, so I just don't. Like, I have come to enjoy this game significantly more as a pacifist. I run into boblin camps, I steal their food, and I run away. I'm sure that there are things in those skull chests, but they're probably not worth my time anymore.
It's a lot of opals. Lots and lots of opals.
I have bombs, and there's rocks in mountain. You get opals that way.
Yeah, I mean...
So, I'm curious. Has anyone run across the, like, naturally occurring diamonds yet?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
That's, yeah, 5 or 6 of them.
Wow. Yeah, because that is how you repair the Zora spear, and I was like... At first I was like, oh gosh, I'm never going to find these, and then I turned in the quest that's 10 luminous stones. It was like, you can turn in luminous stones to get diamonds from me. And I was like, oh, that's much more reasonable.
Oh, I hope... Well, that's unfortunate, because I sold all of my gems for money.
I haven't really needed money that much.
You can repair that Zora spear?
You can repair a special version of the Zora Sphere that you get after defeating the Divine Beast.
Yeah, I have that spear. I've been using it because I don't want a decent weapon to break. It's like it's like the best weapon I have by a factor of 3. And so I'm saving it for like the next time I fight a boss.
Yeah, I think it breaks and doesn't get removed from your inventory.
Huh.
There's 2 different Zora Spheres that can be repaired.
Huh. I mean, maybe if I can repair that thing on the regular, I will stop raging at this durability system.
I mean, it requires you to do a lot of mining, but it sounds like you're already doing that.
I mean, I run into a lot of rocks on mountains, and I blow them up and take all the things.
Honestly, like, what I feel like the game needs is... So, in the Fallout games, there's, like, named versions of every kind of weapon you can get. And it almost feels like there needs to be that in this game to where, sure, it may not be easy to find, but you can find an unlimited durability version of every weapon. And it may require you to jump through a bunch of hoops, or solve a really difficult puzzle, or fight a really difficult thing. But at the end of that, I no longer have to worry about this weapon that I really like. Because they've got these 2 spheres, and then they've got the Master Sword. And in theory, like, I don't know how the Master Sword works.
I have no
but
idea.
it somehow is either repairable or is unlimited durability, but it doesn't go away.
I think what I've seen claimed is that, like, once it unquote breaks, it recharges itself over time and then is repaired again after X amount of X length of time.
Okay.
I would be perfectly fine. I can live with, like, my sword has to recharge.
See,
Some other garbage while that happens.
So that was the thing with Halo. It's like you had all of these weapons that you got rid of over time, but then you always kind of had your pistol, if I remember correctly. Like, am I remembering correctly that you always had a pistol?
So.
Oh, no. What game was that? There was a game that was a shooter of sorts. Like, it reminded me of Halo, where, like, you were swapping weapons all the time, but you always had a pistol. Like, at the end of the day, that pistol never ran out of ammo.
I mean, lots of old games did that.
Well, I'm old, so yeah.
Like, I'm thinking like original Duke Nukem and Jazz Jackrabbit in that era.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I thought it was Halo, but I don't know. Like, I first played Halo on the PC, so
I'm sorry.
Yep.
I never had an Xbox.
Like, which is fair. You shouldn't have played Halo then. Halo on the PC was terrible.
It was absolutely terrible. Like, it got 10 minutes of my time. It got 10 minutes of my time, and then I didn't play another Halo until ODST. And I guess ODST was, like, harder than other Halo games or something.
I
It was somehow not representative of the experience, and so I didn't enjoy it either.
Oh, I mean, it's different than other Halo games. I wouldn't say it's harder.
One of the ones where you're not Master Chief and therefore not an overpowered Spartan.
It's true. That's true.
I mean, I remember that was my Halo's gotten like an hour of play from me total, and it was 10 minutes in the original Halo when I realized what I had to do to keep guns. It was like, nope, I'm out. And ODST, where I had a very similar experience, only amped up because I didn't know what all the guns did, but I had to know which gun was the right gun to use on different enemies.
I mean, like, I feel like Halo would be fine for me if I was actually fighting other humans, but, like, I hate Covenant weapons. Like, universally hate all of them.
Halo 2 had the Needler.
Halo 1 had the Needler.
Halo 2 had a much better Needler.
Okay. The Covenant weapons were actually way better in PvP than they were in PvE.
I can easily believe that.
One of the things that the Covenant weapons did, well, so the Covenant pistol did a charge shot, which was ruinous if you hit somebody with it.
That thing was a special kind of broken.
It honestly was too hard to use, though. Like, it was... I mean, it's gonna get compared to the human pistol, and that thing was super busted.
The plasma pistol charge shot thing still worked in 2, and the human pistol didn't at that point.
Yeah, okay.
Played a lot more 2 than 1.
The plasma rifle got nicknamed the Freezy gun because it didn't do a ton of damage, but if once you got hit with it, it like interrupted your movement and your ability to turn the camera. And so people could circle strafe around you and, like, melee you from behind. The Needler slightly homed, and it did a lot of damage when it exploded in 1. They were all very corner case items, though. Still, none of them were as...
And then there was the beam rifle.
The beam rifle
I think
wasn't
the sniper rifle
in
was actually
1.
better.
I don't think the beam rifle was in number 1. I feel like
almost all of my Halo experience is co-op in 2 and multiplayer in 2.
What I remember from multiplayer in 2 is that sword is nuts.
Yes.
All of the Covenant weapons in multiplayer were still better than the human rifle, which had absolutely no good use case.
In 2, the assault rifle was still useless, but the battle rifle was really good.
The battle rifle was the pistol replacement, so of course it was very good. Like, it took the use case of the human pistol, and I mean, it did admirably. It was a toned down version of that gun. The human pistol was pretty stupid in Halo 1. I loved it. I liked it because while there were a lot of other guns that had different use cases, and like you could win duels in those use cases against pistol users on the regular if you use them right, everyone still started with one of the best all-around guns in the game. And so the game didn't revolve around find the spawns and get all of the right tools.
Yeah.
And
which is always the Unreal Tournament problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that is also basically how multiplayer Halo 2 worked. There is a sword and a rocket launcher on this map. Which one of these do you want to go for?
Yes. And there were a couple of maps with hilarious rocket launcher accessibility things. Like, typically they tried to make the rocket launcher really hard to get, but every single item in that game is collidable, and as such, I got very good at throwing a grenade such that it launched the rocket launcher into me.
Oh, I see what you mean. I was like, from the spawn point.
Not from the spawn point, but from
somewhere way easier to get to than the actual spawn location of the rocket launcher.
The spawn location of the rocket launcher is in a pit that is only, like, you can only exit that pit by taking a ladder, and if you are on a ladder and are not being killed on that ladder, the enemy team is not doing a very good job.
Yeah.
Like, so you run to this opening and there's a ladder, and instead of going down the ladder to get the rocket launcher, you throw a grenade in and the rocket launcher comes to you.
Yeah, that's what I mean, from the
Yes.
rocket launcher spawn point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the counterplay is the other team is able to throw a grenade down there to get the rocket launcher out of position for your grenade. I played a lot of Halo 1.
That game for me was Doom, and later Quake, and very much later Unreal Tournament.
I don't think there's any game like that for me.
I started that set with Unreal Tournament.
Like, it's just, it's honestly just a generational thing. Like, had I been 10 years younger, I would have absolutely played Halo. Like, that would have been my thing.
I'm trying to think if there's any single game that I still know like the back of my hand.
For me, the only game I can think of like that is Mega Man 8.
I don't think there are any. Like, I don't think I play games that way.
For me, it's like I don't realize I do, and then occasionally I'll boot up a game that I haven't played in ages, and I still have muscle memory for it.
No, Super Mario World.
I guess that's also one for me.
Like,
I know basically all the levels of that game.
Yeah. I can pretty much accurately visualize all of the way through all of the secrets and everything else in that game. Some of the nonsense Star Road levels and so on and so forth.
The original Legend of Zelda, I have a good chunk of that game memorized.
I never actually played all the way through the original Legend of Zelda. Link to the Past many times, but
Legend of Zelda was a huge game for me. Like, it was as big of a game as Final Fantasy 1, which was another huge title for me.
I was gonna say
I mean, for me, the letter V 6 times.
Well, I think the difference, Tam, is like, I don't know. I mean, when did you play these games? Did you play them as they were coming out?
Look, Zelda came out the year I was born.
Yeah.
I mean, not always.
But, like, for me, playing them as they came out, like, they were groundbreaking because they were doing different things than nobody else was doing. And it was, like, just mind blown that a game could do this.
Oh, yeah. No. There's plenty of games that I played, like, as they came out that were just absolutely amazing. But I'm thinking about Kodra's, like, can still remember the exact specific strategy for an exact particular level. Like, that... Are there any games that I remember in that level of detail that I even played at that level of detail?
Original Castlevania. I remember it because like that, like a lot of those early Nintendo games were about level memorization.
Yeah, like for me, it's like Metroid and Kid Icarus, and those games like that I played over and over and over when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And the thing is it wasn't just that, like, it wasn't just a me thing. It was the fact that, like, I had a dozen friends that were also playing through this game at the same time. So, like, in elementary school, over lunch, we would strategize and talk about how these things that we had figured out, because, like, there was no internet. So things had to be passed down through a cultural knowledge aspect amongst the other gamers.
I guess that's maybe the thing, is that I didn't play very many games more than one, and I almost never had anybody to talk to about the games I was playing. Like,
yeah,
that didn't exist for me until the internet.
In my college freshman year, we probably played Capture the Flag on Damnation, a single level, at least 100 times. I mean, I can't even... It's always hard for me to do the math on discrete things like that, but it's like, we probably played about 3 to 5 games a night, maybe even more. It's hard for me to remember how long those lasted. And every little bit of advantage we could find, every different route you could take, like, we figured all of those out collectively. And, like, that was how you played these games, and you kept trying new things to see if you could eke out an advantage over the others. And it was just the same thing over and over and over again, but as we learned the level, the way we played it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, the game that was definitely that for me was first Soldier of Fortune 2 and Call of Duty 1. And the reason being, when I worked at the Palm Pilot development place, we would play every day at lunch and every day after work and have a big LAN game that was basically everybody in the office. And ultimately we would play, like, the Capture the Flag maps for those games. Like, even though there wasn't a Capture the Flag mode for Call of Duty, we had downloaded a mod pack that gave us the Capture the Liquor or something like that, where you, like, went and captured the wine bottles and ran them back to your bunker. And there was, like, a limited number of maps. So, like, if you're playing the same 3 maps on rotation, like 6-7 games at lunch and 6-7 games after work, you quickly memorize those maps.
Yeah, it's like as you mentioned that, as I start thinking about like,
I know the Mass Effect 3 maps really well, actually.
I don't know the Mass Effect 3 maps very well at all.
A few of them.
But I could probably still pull Befallen in my sleep.
Yep,
And
that's
like,
another one.
And like that's sort of like that's sort of the missing piece is like gaming. I didn't have a social network for games until way later, and so I didn't have the thing where we were always playing the same thing but trying to reach that advantage, trying to get slightly incrementally better to stay just a little bit ahead, because I was never playing games that dedicatedly with anybody until MMOs.
Yeah, I mean, and it definitely happens in MMOs, because even you can plunk me down in any WoW dungeon and I know how to pull it because I've done it a bunch. And like, for the most part, even though I will claim not to remember it, you can plunk me down in a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV and I will remember how to pull it, because it's just kind of a layer of muscle memory that you've built up, that this is the way you do it. Okay, now, like I always go left here or I always go right here. I don't know why I do it. I just do it. And I had that same thing for a lot of the early shooters. And unfortunately, it made me super predictable at times, because like I favored this route over that route. And I don't know why I favored that route, but I did.
Yeah, it's just real interesting. Like, the very low number of games that I played more than once. Very, very few games that I played like, nightly or even weekly multiplayer with other people prior to MMOs.
There always seemed to be like one game at a time, like that everybody focused on. Like there was a period of time where it was Warcraft 2. We were all playing Warcraft 2, and eventually that was StarCraft or Quake or.
I remember one time in high school, one time in middle school it was. I don't remember exactly when. I overheard two classmates talking about two classmates in like one of my not standard classes talking about playing Final Fantasy VII, or talking about something in Final Fantasy VII. I asked them what game they were playing and went out and bought it, because then I could talk about a game with people. It makes a big difference.
It does make a huge difference. And like, I think part of it too was like the Atari 2600 was a universal cultural phenomenon, and everybody was playing the Atari 2600 to the same extent everybody was playing the Nintendo Entertainment System. So like, when I was doing that, it was just accepted that everyone was playing Nintendo. It wasn't a fringe thing. And then that changed at some point along the way, where like people weren't, like, by the time I hit college, people weren't talking about games other than in discrete gaming circles. But I mean, I had gaming circles to rely on of people that I had played games with all along, and they continued to play games and I continued to play games, and it was oftentimes like drift compatible with the same group of people that I was playing pen and paper with.
I mentioned my experience with pen and paper on the show, right?
I think so.
Yeah, okay.
Like, for living in a very small town, I guess I was super lucky to have a pretty large community of people that were doing a lot of the same stuff I was doing. And maybe it's because when you do live in a small town, like, there is zero opportunity for secrets kept. Everyone knows what everyone else is doing, and it's super claustrophobic, but when there's 60 kids in a class, like, everyone knows what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, everybody, or virtually everybody, knew that I was into video games and thought I was a huge nerd for it, and it was not something I could connect with people about.
I feel like I was lucky as hell.
I feel like some of it is still that generational thing, though. Like, when I was a kid, everybody played Nintendo. It was pretty ubiquitous, and it wasn't like, oh, you're some nerd kid because you play video games. No, like, every kid played video games.
Yeah.
Like every one of my friends had some console. Like
Christmas of '86, everyone wanted a Nintendo. Like, it didn't matter who you were. Like, everyone wanted a Nintendo underneath the tree. And that changed at some point, and I don't know when it did, but it was just this, I don't know, like, I think I've talked about this as well. Like, there aren't as many universal cultural touchstones as there used to be.
That's definitely, well, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily as true as we are now aware of all of the cultural touchstones that we weren't a part of before.
Well, I don't know. Like, I guess what I mean is, when maybe this is a bad example, but like, for the most part, everyone had exactly the same television channels. Everyone had the same newspaper access, the same watch this like one of 3 available television shows at any given slot in time.
But like in this country, though.
Like in this country, yes.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, like, people are way more fragmented in their ability, in like what they're into, because there's way more options. Like, we have a whole new world of access with the internet, and that just didn't happen. Like, I mean, everybody seemed to be into a lot of the same things up through a point. I think during the 90s it really started to diverge, but it was just, I don't know, like, I can't fully explain what, you know, the launch of the Nintendo was, or the launch of the Atari was, because it was just something that everyone was doing. I guess it, like, the closest thing that we've had was like when Pokemon Go was happening and literally everyone was downloading Pokemon Go to try it out.
They're having that event that I haven't really checked out.
Just the bill of
The water. Yeah. Like, I got my Magikarp hat. That's
Yeah,
really
the
all
funniest
I've
thing
done.
about that is that, yeah, you can get a Magikarp hat.
I mean, I guess I live
It's
near a
pretty
bunch of
great.
water.
It's pretty goofy.
Even living near a bunch of water, there are way more water Pokemon not near bunches of water. You might actually be able to get that 400 Magikarp candy for a Gyarados now.
Well, and apparently Gyarados are just spawning outright on occasion during this, and Lapras.
I mean,
Well,
Gyarados
so
have
they already
always-
spawned outright. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, in a really bad choice, one spawned out on a sandbar in the middle of the Arkansas River in Tulsa that you could see from the bank, but you couldn't actually catch. And you sure as hell couldn't go out on the sandbars, because
How
no,
much do
that
you
would
want
not
that
work.
Gyarados.
Would you like to die for a Gyarados?
Maybe not.
I mean, the Arkansas is a navigable river.
Not in Tulsa. It is a slurry of quicksand-ish sandbars. Like, there's barely
what
any
kayaks
water
are
going through there.
for.
I'm not sure you could get a kayak through it. Like, literally, it is a slurry of sand, not a river, because it's all dammed up upstream.
On fire yet?
No, we're
It's
still
still a
being in
river.
Cleveland. There, I'm sharing a picture of what the Arkansas River looks like in Tulsa.
Oh, that's a rather dry river.
Yes, because it's all dammed up upstream to make a pretty river upstream.
You could just drive out on that on a 4-wheeler. It'd be perfectly safe, I'm sure.
Yeah. No. I will say, I want to do more Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, because we got to do a little bit of that right before the podcast.
You mean Mass Effect Andromeda?
Yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda, whatever. It's Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. How different is it than 3? Other
It's-
than jetpacks.
So movement is way more important.
Maps are a lot more vertically designed because you have a jetpack.
And which it's like, so okay, I like to play snipers. Playing a sniper in Mass Effect 3 multiplayer was not for me a very fun experience, and you may have noticed that I mostly played Adept or the Ninja thing, or used the like automatic sniper rifle for this reason. I'm using a sniper rifle with a one-shot clip and having a blast. Because the levels are so much more vertically designed, I can find sniper nests. I can get visibility across the map. It doesn't matter that everyone is playing a Krogan because I can shoot over them because I can have a better vantage point than I can just have a better vantage point. And that's really cool. I also think that they edited the way enemies move and approach and
I think
swarm.
that's premature since we've only fought one enemy type.
Okay, the enemy type that we have fought moves in such a way that it isn't everyone stay together or everyone dies. I mean, certainly there are places where we didn't stay together and we died, but it wasn't like, I mean, I distinctly remember us playing where like somebody would stop paying attention for a moment and get left behind as we moved, and they were just dead and we weren't going back for them. Whereas that was, I mean, we were split up. Like, I was mostly apart from the rest of the group, and other than that one time where I died like 6 times, it was mostly reasonable.
The flyers were the annoying thing in that map set, and the people that could shoot through walls.
They can have enemies that just straight up fly because you can do that now.
Oh, right, yes. Which also helps me as a sniper. That makes it, like, the enemies that you guys hated, a lot of the enemies you guys hated were, like, target practice for me.
And that's fine. You can be our air support.
And it was really cool. Like, I felt like I was filling a role in the party that was valuable and unique.
I liked that pretty much everything other than the big destroyers was relatively easily soloable by a single player. Like, it didn't necessarily need focused fire to take stuff down.
Well, if you aren't caught off guard.
Right. No, like...
A few times I got observed from behind, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, because if you can't get behind some cover, it's just going to kill your shield and then kill you. I really liked that I could charge up into the air. That was kind of amazing. But what it ended up leading me to do was to drop my 3 abilities in rapid succession on the same target, and then finishing them off with a couple shotgun blasts.
What does the Human Vanguard have for abilities? I know they still have Charge and Nova.
Charge and Nova and Shockwave.
Okay.
So yeah, like, and I'd run in and hit all 3 in a row, and it was pretty much dead or within a shotgun blast or 2 of dead.
They tweaked the Krogan Vanguard skill set somewhat. I don't even remember what the Krogan Vanguard had before, other than Charge. It had Charge and Carnage and something else, and you basically didn't put points in Carnage. Now it has Charge and Nova, and then also Fortification, which is a armor like take less damage skill.
Mm. Before we
really
broke up,
ping pongs around the map and charges at things.
Before we broke up, I picked up one of the packs and ended up getting a human engineer, so I want to try that out since that'll probably be turret based.
I think you actually start with all of the human classes. You can just pick up additional skill cards for them for customization options.
Maybe I just didn't even notice that I had engineer. I mean, that's my big takeaway about Andromeda as a whole, is like movement in combat feels so much better than it did. Like, Mass Effect always felt like it was a shooter RPG hybrid, which it is, but it always felt like the shooter aspect was completely subservient to the RPG aspect.
I feel like that's only really true in 1.
It's definitely true in 1, and it becomes like less and less true as the games go on. But I feel like Andromeda is even more in that direction, where like it is a legitimately... I didn't think that the combat mechanics in 3 were super polished as games go.
Exactly.
But they were fun because it was Mass Effect and because it was an interesting way to play with friends, and I liked all the abilities and so on and so forth. And this is like, I've got all those abilities and I like all of those abilities, and it's a really tight combat engine now.
Well, and
much tighter.
In 2 and in 3, I felt like I spent a lot of time fighting with the cover mechanic, and this cover mechanic just feels better because it just happens when you're behind something that can be cover.
That actually takes some getting. This is definitely taking some getting used to.
It's taken a bit of getting used to, but their smart covers, they're surprisingly effective.
Unless you're a Krogan, and therefore half of your body fits over the top of it, no matter what you do.
Well, I mean, yes.
But you're still a smaller target.
Smaller enough.
Yeah. Look, that happens to enemies all the time that duck behind cover, and then I can still pick them off easily.
Yes, but I would really kind of hope that, players would do a little better and at least put their heads down or something.
You just need to bring your own wall with you.
I'm sure there is a Krogan with that ability.
Probably. I saw that Barrier was an ability that I had, so I wonder if that solves some of those problems.
Are you not using your abilities?
I'm not using Barrier because I haven't put any points in it.
Oh, okay.
But, I wonder if that solves that problem of I'm getting hit too much. I actually didn't go Vanguard in my playthrough right now. I started off Engineer, and now I've shifted into Soldier. I like my little turret.
I started Sentinel. I'm going to stay Sentinel for a while, I think. Although I do miss the fancy tech armor, which is really annoying because you can see it when, during the game's very first mission, Dad Ryder uses it.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, I don't have it.
There's a way to get it. I have the ability to research it to get the N7 armor.
No. The orange, glowy Omni-Tech armor.
Oh,
That was the Sentinel
okay.
signature in 2 and 3.
Okay. I never played Sentinel, so I didn't see it. I was almost always a Vanguard.
When the question is charge or not charge, there's only really one answer.
Which is weird that I'm not playing a Vanguard this time.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to put enough points into Biotics just to get the charge, even if I don't use the Vanguard profile.
I really have
their profile system, except it leaves me with decision paralysis. Feels like a thing. Like
it is
everything open to me.
Well, and the problem that I've heard is that you just don't have enough points to really have all the things unless you're really doing everything late game. So I am trying really hard to be narrowly focused on this specific thing that I'm doing so that I don't end up feeling, I don't know, weakened at the end because I've got stuff spread out too much.
I don't know, respecs seem real cheap, so
they are.
I'm not worrying too much about that.
That may be their answer, is like, oh, just respec and play a different profile.
I really want to get a character that can build their own combos. It's the one thing that I really loved that I could do with the old Asari Infiltrator that I used, and the new one. It's like, okay, you took away my ability to put that bouncing dot on things and set up my own biotic combos.
As far as I can tell, that bouncing dot is completely gone.
It is completely gone. It was kind of strong, but
there is a tech version of that ability.
Yeah, but can I biotic combo off it?
You can. I think combos are not specific. Like if it's a combo starter, you can pick your favorite combo finisher.
Well, suddenly I'm interested in the tech tree. Interesting. But yeah, but they took that biotic ability away from me and gave me AoE group stealth. All right, sure.
I'm actually a little annoyed that the Krogan cannot start combos. Like you can bounce all around and blow up. You need to find a teammate with all sorts of combo starting powers.
Yeah, I agree with finding that teammate.
I mean, the other thing I played a lot in 3 was that teammate, the N7 Paladin Vanguard or Sentinel.
I love that guy so much. He was amazing.
Could set things on fire. Could use Overload. Could use Cryospray. All of which could start or finish combos. So you could just rotate through them and blow things up constantly.
It was really cool. I'm looking forward to getting a few more levels so that like even the easiest setting doesn't beat the crap out of us. Because I was like, wow, this is crazy hard. And then I
forgot how like weak low-level characters are.
Yeah, like, we have a weak low-level character. That's why it's hard. Like, we don't have upgraded we don't have like months
don't have upgraded guns, don't have upgraded abilities, don't have your health and shield upgrades.
Yeah. I was like, we don't have all the things that make us like actively good and strong.
There were a few characters who could get by on like almost nothing in ME3, but not very many.
Not very many. And there may be some in here, like we've only played a character each.
True, I played with 2, but the Turian soldier also cannot get by with not very much.
Yeah. Anyway, Andromeda multiplayer is super fun.
I'm looking forward to trying it one day.
You have a lot on your plate right now.
It's true.
But hey, you got sushi.
I got sushi. I've been playing Mario Run.
How is that?
Not bad. So it has a interesting thing that it does where there are like one of the modes is Toad Rallies, where you are trying to beat the score of another player, and whoever wins gets toads. And like the mechanics are pretty familiar to New Super Mario Brothers players. Like it's got wall jumps, it's got spin jumps. So there's a lot of like control you have with just having a Mario that's constantly running and the ability to jump, because New Super Mario Brothers gives you a lot of control over your jumps. So it's still like there's a lot of skill and timing to this game. So it feels good, and like having this competitive who can get the most coins in an allotted amount of time is really cool. And like who can pull off cooler Mario maneuvers.
Huh.
It is either, I don't know when it's coming out, but it's coming out on Android soon. And I'm almost certain that I won't be able to play it.
You're correct.
Yeah.
It came out like 2 days ago.
Why are you not going to be able to play it?
Because Google's safety check thing thinks my phone is rooted, even though it's been unrooted. So yeah, that's a thing.
So I have a 5C, a iPhone 5C. Like, yes, I need to upgrade my phone. It has some hanging issues with this game. Periodically, it'll just freeze, and like it'll come back, and I'll be able to complete the level. But that's annoying.
Yeah.
But like ultimately, I mean, I am as a new father, I am getting into the mobile space because it's easy to be there with the kid and also have an iPhone in your hand.
So I was wondering if you were going to mention that, Koja, but that hasn't actually been talked about on the podcast either.
By the way, I'm a new father.
Yes. Huge congrats.
Thank you.
Hooray for babies.
Tiny baby.
Yeah.
Kodra is now our official late night gaming on mobile devices liaison.
Yes. And probably going to be working my way through a lot of Wii U games because that is also a good way to play. And probably DS games.
Can you play it with a baby?
Yeah.
Luckily, there's a lot of things you can play with a baby. You could get one of those like kangaroo pouches. I don't know what they're.
Dude, those things look awesome for that purpose.
Yeah. And then you can play whatever you want, wherever you want. You got like, I don't know what they're called.
The carriers?
I don't know. It's like a thing you strap to yourself that the baby sits in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carrier. We have one.
Okay.
Like, there are ones that face forward, there are ones that face backwards.
Yep.
Everything I've heard is tiny babbies really like them.
Yeah, maybe a little bit
less tiny.
Yeah. Most
Yeah.
of the stuff that there's definitely a solid couple of months where baby is too tiny for a lot of these solutions.
Yeah.
The baby is really tiny.
It is a thing. They are very small.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit before you'll have a decent co-op partner there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But eventually, you'll have a player number 2.
Sure.
So something I've been playing this week a little bit is I came home from Texas with a copy of Boss Monster.
Ooh.
And we've been playing a little bit of it at work. And I feel like that game is really fun, but is also somewhat unbalanced.
How so?
Like it just feels like it has some issues with evenness of, I don't know, like it feels like a lot of it's luck of the draw.
It's a tableau building game, right?
I am not familiar with the term tableau building. Like I am a board gaming neophyte.
You are building a series of cards out in front of you.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah. You're building a 5-room dungeon
To try and lure adventurers into your dungeon and hopefully kill them before they make it all the way through the dungeon.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to be very luck of the draw.
Yeah. Like some rounds go really well, and some rounds it feels like all of us are progressing evenly to where it feels fun, and then there are some rounds where one person has all of the luck and it is super landslidey, and those go quickly, and those don't feel fun at all.
Now, is it landslidey because there are some cards that are just better than every other
Not
card?
necessarily. They're getting exactly the cards they need.
They're getting
So
everything in the right order. Okay.
Right. They can build an effective strategy. Like, to some extent, you're building an engine to kill heroes of specific types. And, like, if you're getting all of the stuff that aids one specifically or building strategy, it seems like it goes way smoother for that player
Yep.
than the person that's getting a mishmash of things that don't really work together.
Yeah, because A, you have to lure heroes to your dungeon, which means having more of a particular icon than anybody else for a given type of hero. And then B, you have to kill that hero before he makes it all the way through the dungeon. So
You have to have enough damage in your dungeon to do this.
yep.
And apparently it's on Steam.
Wait, what?
There's a digital version on Steam.
That
I mean, I
doesn't
could
surprise
see a
me.
digital version of it working just fine. Huh, look at that. $5.
Yeah. It's a fun game. Like, and it's got a lot of, like, it's just seeping with Nintendo era nostalgia.
I hear it is a way better retheming and way more accessible version of Race for the Galaxy, which is sort of the classic tableau builder, which I love Race for the Galaxy quite a bit. And it's a very, very tightly tuned game, and clearly a labor of love, but they do not know how to iconography.
That's a definite negative.
But I've never actually played Boss Monster. Maybe I'll pick it up. $5.
Actually, I tried it at PAX South 2 years ago. It was entertaining.
I picked it up after that. So
Yeah,
we
and
also
then-
played it at PAX South this past year.
Yeah, exactly. I think we played 2 rounds, 3 rounds, something like that. And it was fun enough that I picked it up at a half-price bookstore when they happened to have it.
Also available on the App Store. That's
I could
probably
talk
more
at length
likely.
about my love of half-price books as a store. It is a magical place.
Half Price Books is amazing.
Like, it is impossible to put into words just how cool of a store it is, because it is not like, oh, it's a used bookstore. Okay, well, that doesn't exactly cover it. Like, they have so many cool things there. And the stock is so random. Like, each store seems to have different focuses. Like, and I guess they probably give the person that runs the store total control over what they're doing with the store. Because, like, we went to, like, 10 of them in the Dallas area, and every single one of them was vastly different.
I mean, do you want a copy of Earth and Beyond? I did see a copy of Earth and Beyond at Half Price Books once.
I have too. I've seen all sorts of weird things from the past that will never actually work. But they're also a great source of, like, you know, pen and paper stuff and board games and weird stuff that I've never quite ever seen on Amazon.
The other thing I found at Half Price Books was this, like, leather-bound, this, like, big, thick leather-bound book that had, like, charring on the edges and on some of the pages and was inscribed with a bunch of random-looking runes. And I was real excited because I picked it up, and it was just a fancy journal, but I was very excited for a brief moment.
There was maybe a demon that tried to escape.
I don't know what it was, but, like, leather-bound, like, weirdly beat-up looking book with, like, runes in it. I'm sold.
Yep.
I almost bought it anyway, fill it up with stuff, but I decided I wasn't actually ever going to do that.
Like, this is the thing that my wife and I do. Like, we if there are half-price books in an area, we will try and hit them all. And to be honest, like, our trip to Dallas last weekend was in large part just to hit a bunch of them. Like, I also hit some Fry's and a Micro Center and a bunch of other stuff along the way. But, like, largely we were hitting, I think we hit 11, 12 half-price books, something like that.
With a half-price bookstore? That's kind of awesome.
There are, like, 30, I think, in maybe not quite that, but like 2025 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
I didn't know about Half Price Books until
That's
I went
the
to
number.
Boston. It's like not a thing on the East Coast as far as I can tell.
Really?
There's
They exist in the Cleveland area in somewhat large number, actually.
yeah. I mean, there's some in Kansas City area that I've been to, some in St. Louis,
Dude, they
some
just
in
made it
Austin.
all the way out east.
I mean, they're a Texas-based business. The flagship store is in downtown Dallas. It's huge, and they've expanded to other hubs from there. Like, there's some in Oklahoma City. They haven't made it to Tulsa yet. There are 3 in the Oklahoma City metro, and every so often we go down there and hit all 3.
There are 3 in Pennsylvania, and they're the only ones on the East. So, yeah, Pennsylvania, and then you're looking at Ohio, and then Indiana. Yeah.
The pattern that they've expanded in doesn't make a logical sense. It's not like there's a march across the country, a state at a time. I just get weirdly passionate about specific things. Like, you know, my passion for Quick Trip, which is a gas station.
I mean, I've developed a bizarre passion for, like, legitimate Chinese food in the last couple of years.
It's kind of hard to find.
It's really hard to find. But now that I know what it is, I love it so much.
There's an amazing place in San Antonio, of all places, that we've stopped at every year during PAX, but it's like nowhere near the downtown center. And there was an amazing place in the plaza area of Kansas City. Well, Kodra, did you have any other big topics that you wanted to discuss since you weren't around when we started trying to determine what the hell we were going to talk about tonight?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I talked a bit about Breath of the Wild. I talked a bit about Mario Run. I don't think I've really been playing anything else. Babies are cute and tiny.
Yes. And have really, really short batteries
Wow.
that need recharging often.
They are very, very loud when they are going out, though.
Okay, anybody else have any topics to discuss before we wrap things up?
Tyranny next week.
Yep, Tyranny show next week. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoy the show, and have a good evening and such. Goodbye!
Good night!
See you.
Good
Good
night.
night.